Okay, welcome back to the channel. I haven't done a video in a little while. Fairly busy off of my stuff, but today we're going to be doing the wheel bearing assembly for an 11 F250. But we're going to be doing a little retrofit kit. I didn't want, at Napa, these little assemblies are, I think the premium one's like $650 and the regular one's like $400 something. I didn't want to spend that because when I bought my other truck, the truck I'm throwing a Cummins in, it's an 08. Have the same assemblies but has a different plug style, but the same exact thing, and it came with 2 extra ones. I already did the one on the passenger side because that one seized up last week, and now before I hit the next coming week, because around the weekend, I have time to do this one because it has some pretty good play. Now I don't remember. I think up and down is wheel bearing, and side to side is tie rod, I believe. So up and down play is fairly noticeable, and it was always chewing up tires on the front. I think it's definitely because of those wheel bearings. They're just wearing weird. So anyway, we're gonna get right into this. It's pretty simple, not bad. The hardest part for me was actually getting the snap ring off. With some people probably super easy. For some reason I just, it probably only took. I'm only doing it for like 10 minutes, but it feels super long when you're just sitting there squeezing those things, and it just wasn't happening. But anyway, we're gonna take out this tire and I'll show you more of what's going on after. So these are actually pretty easy to service. It'd be way cheaper if they just sold the bearing, but it's pretty easy doing this, all things considered. What you're going to do is you can leave your caliper but undo the bracket bolts, and those will just be 2. You can pull that off and you can set your caliper wherever you can get it to go. And then what you're going to do is if you were doing a straight swap between new ones, you would undo all of these and pull the wire back to this body mount behind this fender here. Pull this out, because you can't, especially if you're using aftermarket ones, you can't reuse this speed sensor. This does your ABS and stuff. You can't redo that on other ones because sometimes the air gap's a little different, and you'll have some issues. And what I'm going to try to do is on the other side, I'll show you what I did over there. Is I have, so the ones I put in are Moog. Those are just the extra ones that came with mine. And what you see, I cut off the pigtail from the old speed sensor, and I need to cut off the one for the Moog one because this is round. In 08 to 10 they had round, and they switched to these square ones in probably 11 to 16 or whatever they carry this axle to. And so over there I gotta do a little soldering or splicing or whatever to make those read. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm actually going to pull out the sensor in the bearing here. Man, this side's super sandy compared to the other one. I'm going to try to pull that out once this is off. You'll see it better, and reuse it to see. And if it doesn't work, it might not work, I'll have to use the Moog one. I'll just do the same thing. I'll splice them, but I want to try it before I just cut both of them. And what you're going to do, these are T27s. You undo those, pull this whole hub out, and there'll be a snap ring back there. Once you take these off, the whole rotor will pop out. And then after that, you have four nuts back here. 2 on this side, 2 on that side. This truck's pretty crusty for the miles. It only has like 120 on it. But it was never really taken care of in terms of all the salt and stuff. So anyway, I'm going to start taking all this off, and we'll get back to it. Probably once I have everything stripped. Okay, so I have the brake caliper over there. I did have to take the line off because I couldn't fit a socket on this, on the bolt there with the way the lines run. So I put it back on just so it doesn't like keep leaking everywhere. Even when I threw it up there, the brake line, it would still trickle out a little bit. So put it back on just so it doesn't leak. That's what that's for. I took the rotor off, and this is what you're looking at. These 3 T27s, and this whole hub, or the locking part, will come out, and this is the wheel speed sensor I was talking about. I haven't taken this out, but I assume it's probably a 27, but I'll figure that one out pretty soon. And I'm gonna pop this out and save it, and then I'm gonna put it in the new one and see if it freaks out. But I think I'm gonna take the air hammer. So I actually use an air hammer too, and pounded this, pounded down there, try to loosen up if it's hardened at all. I'm gonna do the same thing if I can, to basically, if I can reach the end of those nuts and just fucking pound on it. The other side, those are pretty dry. If this was a cleaner truck, probably wouldn't be a problem at all. I mean, this thing for the year, I guess I sort of get it, but for the miles, like, jeez, this thing was just not really driven, and it should have been sprayed or something a little more too, because this is kind of ridiculous. All this just coming off. But anyway, I'm probably gonna hit all this with the hammer too while it's here, try to get some of the flake off and feel a little better about myself. So anyway, pop this out and pop that out, and then we'll be on to the 4 bolts and the snap ring. We're good to go. So this is one thing I noticed on the other side as well. When I took the hub out, I saw a pool of water, and I think this is just a bad design. I mean, it's just one O-ring over all these years keeping water from going straight into like the bearing area. This is also a lot shorter than I thought it was. But I guess there's a hack out there where you pull the sensor and you can fill this with shmoo, and it'll lube that non-serviceable bearing. So hopefully you get a little more life out of it. But I'm also thinking these O-rings need to be changed, like at some point, because the other side is full of water, and this is wet, and there's only lube on one side now. Ooh, not even looking at, where are you? There you are. There's only lube on one side of it, and this is wet and pretty rusty as well. So I don't know, I think it's just kind of a bad design going into everything. But anyway, it's kind of neither here nor there, just something I'm observing. And yeah, so we'll get taking these bolts off now. So this is what it all looks like when it's taken apart. As you can see, there's a lot of moisture in here as well. I'm just gonna kind of clean up some of those grease chunks and then slam my new used one on. But I am a little concerned about this play. I don't know if you guys can even see it, but maybe all that goes away with the wheel bearing on. I don't know. There might be some more going on here than I was thinking. But anyway, you can see we're gonna throw this other one on. I'm just gonna clean up this surface, and then on the other wheel bearing, and I got some shmoo to put on there. There's supposed to be a gasket, but I don't have one, so I'm just gonna use some RTV. So using that side, it seems to be okay so far. We'll check in at some point with it, or if it starts fucking making weird noises, we'll have to look at it, and odds are it might be a seal. I don't know. I think it's just kind of a water seal. And the other one obviously wasn't doing its job super well. Especially right up here. You can kind of see everything, but I don't know. Anyway, let me clean it up with the die grinder real quick and throw some shmoo on there and slam the new one on. So I'm about to put the rotor back on, and I do want to mention one thing. When you're doing the snap ring, you're going to need some sort of long extended snap ring plier. I have somewhere in this bag of tricks, I have like the regular, I think this one's a Harbor Freight one too, but like this style, or like the Irwin style. That's what I tried using at first, my Irwin. And where they're interchangeable, these heads are just too bulky and also not long enough to reach down by the stub axle. And even if you can sneak her in before you actually get to hitting the snap ring, it's too bulky. It hits the stub axle and then the housing. You just can't do it. And my old Moog bolt here decided to become a circle, so I'm gonna be cutting both these ends off and rewiring these to the square plug, and we're gonna move on. But that's easy enough. I'm just gonna slam this rotor back together, put the brakes back on, and then it's a bunch of 8s. Over here is definitely a little more not very cool, I guess, but just a bunch of little 8mm, and then a couple of plastic tabs, and then it goes into the plug, and it's just one of those. You put a small flathead in, and you'll pop out pretty easy. And that's that. So we're gonna slap her back together real quick, and we're gonna call it good. This is definitely, it's a little stiff, that's for sure. But I also have my hubs locked, so I'm kind of rotating things. But no wobble, no grinding. It should last me a little bit longer, and we'll see what happens. So, well, I got everything back together. The only thing now is to bleed the brakes, throw the tire on. I'm gonna go eat some lunch, and then I'm going to wire up both of those, and then I'll be completely done. And we'll see if the advanced track light goes away, and if not, I don't know. I don't really care. It's not detrimental to me. Figure that part out later. And you can see some of this, the gray RTV I used. This is the international stuff, or the Motorcraft stuff, whatever. It's all I had on hand, actually. And I was looking for the black RTV. That's what I was looking for, I guess, and I didn't have any. So we went with the Motorcraft stuff. If it can keep the 7.3 from leaking, gonna say it'll keep water out of that bad bird, but we'll find out. I'm gonna throw a tire on and let this thing sit for probably till tomorrow, just to make sure it's sealed before I get too much water splattering around. But that's it. That's how you change the wheel hub assembly or bearing assembly. And it wasn't too bad. All in all, I've probably only been sitting here for, I don't know, maybe a couple hours, and half it's been, you know, trying to film or take shortcuts to slow down, make sure I stop at the right point so I can film. So, I mean, this is probably an hour job, assuming everything's not rusted right together. Surprisingly, the nuts on the backside weren't too bad, but they came out anyway. I did get new ones. These were what they look like, and the other side was all 13, and 3 of these were 3/4, and one of them was 13. They're pretty chowdered out. So I had to run town. In town, didn't have any flange nuts or anything, so I just had to get regular nuts. And I threw a couple washes back there, so we gotta keep an eye on that. Probably gonna order some flange nuts and swap those out. But yeah, that's it. I don't know what years I don't know, like the SuperDuties, if they're the same front axle or not, but at least from 08 to 16, or at least 08 to 11, I don't know if they changed these axles middle year or something. I'm gonna say it's at least 08 to 14 before they did any changes. You can use an 08. It just has a different plug type. And I can show you that pretty good. I guess just all the other plug up there, but these are round and the other one's a square, but the same 2 pins and same everything. So you just gotta pay attention to where they line up, so when you swap them over, they're reading the right side. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed or learned something.